Hi, I'm Mark. My call sign is Golf 1 Delta X-Ray. Today's video is a little bit off-piste for what we normally do. As you know, Martin Lynch and the team here, we all specialise in radio ham equipment. But some of us, including myself, also fly aeroplanes. I haven't flown one for years, but I used to be an instrument-rated twin pilot, so I've done quite a bit of flying in my time. And today I'm quite passionate about what we're going to show you, because I'm going to talk about the Yaesu FTA, Fox Tango Alpha range of transceivers. They're quite special and different to any other transceivers that we have, as they only work on AM and they only work in the airband. This transceiver here, the FTA 250, you might recognise the form factor. It looks a little bit similar to the FT4 range of transceivers, but actually it's quite a different beast, because firstly, of course, it's AM, but secondly, it's a dual conversion superhet. So all of these radios we're going to talk about today are dual conversion superhet receivers, transceivers, which means their transceiving performance will be quite special. But the reason why I'm passionate about these radios, true story, and I won't bore you with too length of it, but several years ago, probably several decades ago, I was flying into Leeds Bradford airport when it was a quieter airfield in a Cessna 172, if my memory serves me rightly. I had the transponder going, I was talking to the control tower, I was approaching the airfield, and then all of my electronics packed up, the whole lot. I had no radio, no VOR, no ILS. Well, I didn't have ILS on that one, but no VOR. And luckily, I had a GPS on board, a very early one, and the old-fashioned type of analog mobile phones. I was able to call the control tower and tell them what had happened, and I did land just fine. But I would have desperately have liked to have had one of these on board, because it really, you know, I was genuinely flying instrument meteorological conditions. I wasn't in airways, but you know, I was in a cloud, and it's not very nice when all your nav aids pack up at the same time and your radio. When you're in a cloud, it's should we say, quite a pulse rate increasing episode. So I would have dearly loved to have one of these stuck in the aeroplane, nice and easy, charged up, where I could have just called up the tower, set the frequency, and told them what had happened. And that's something I want you to think about today, because all of the Yaesu FTA radios are CAA LA3 approved, which means you can use them as a backup radio or on the ground. So, you know, none of these are meant to be your primary means of navigation, but what a great thing to have with you if you have, like I had, a total electrical failure. So anyway, enough of that. And by the way, I did, for my famousness, appear in Gazelle, because that was actually reported, that incident. Anyway, enough of that. So back to today. There are several radios we're going to cover today, ranging from the Yaesu FTA, and by the way, I'm sure you've worked out, A stands for Aviation, 250, which is a straightforward transceiver that does airband, and yes, it does do the 8.33 megahertz spacing. So it's, you know, it's bang up to date, all the way through to the 850 range, which brings additional features such as ILS, VOR, GPS, Bluetooth, and a color TFT display, and an additional 1 watt of transmit power, because all of the other range are 5 watts AM. And to any of you radio hams that might be watching this, I think you probably work out that in effect they're 20 watt transceivers, because most of our transceivers that we use on the ham bands anyway, when you switch to AM, it goes to quarter power. So it's actually quite tricky to make a 5-watt AM handheld transceiver. So the FTA 250L. Now the L stands for lithium ion, and all of the radios that we supply on the FTA range come with a rechargeable battery. I'm pointing that out because some of the there are some models which just take dry cells, but frankly I think you probably would like the rechargeable one, because it certainly means you can always ensure that you've got a fully charged radio, and you know that it's there for you to use if you should so need it, which I hope you don't, but you know, that's the whole, it's just like carrying a parachute. I hope you don't need to ever use one, but it's nice to know you got it. So that's exactly what these radios are about. They're your radio parachutes if you should so need it. So FTA 250 rechargeable battery. It comes with the adapters for your David Clark or Watt Peltor headsets or whatever you're using these days. We'll show you the unboxing in a minute. So it comes with the adapters. It's a specific airband antenna. There are some longer ones, but the whole point of this is that you can shove it somewhere in the plane and have it handy. If you start putting a big long antenna on it, it makes it less handy. Comes with a charging cradle, a charger, and they're all of the FTA range of radios are IPX5 rated, which basically means lightly waterproof. They're more than splash proof. They will stand water being sprayed on them, but not high pressure jets. So that's pretty useful as well. So very high quality, and even the antenna has a sealing gasket round here that you can put in. So very good and very easy to operate. You can see the screen, I hope. I hope you can see the screen there. You just punch in your frequency, press enter, and then off you go and talk to someone. So that's the FTA 250L. What we're going to do now is just whiz through some of the other models, and you can make your choice what's the appropriate radio for you. I mean, the 250 is pretty much a no-brainer for any pilot, in my opinion. They're not expensive. The other thing to bear in mind also is the screen is LCD, and that's kind of a good thing if you're using them outside in the bright sunlight, because you don't need a backlight on it to see it, and the sunlight will just make it clearer. So all of them, other than the FTA 850, have LCD screens. The 850 has a color TFT. So we're now going to bring out the FTA 550 out so you can have a look at it. Now it's worth pointing out that there is one model that's between these two, which we don't have with us today. It's the FTA 450, which in many ways is a bigger brother to the FTA 250. It is purely transceiving, voice transceiving, purely airband, but it also has a large graphical LCD GUI. So it's got a graphical user interface, and it's physically larger and has a larger battery. Same power on transmit, but for those of you that want a bigger transceiver, who want a more GUI interface experience, because of course here the user interface is quite compact, should we say, there is the FTA 450, which is a straightforward transceiver. So here we've got the FTA 550L. The L again means it's lithium ion battery packed powered, and you can recharge it. So the FTA 550L brings additional features over and above the 250. It has a VOR receiver on it. It has an ILS glide slope receiver on it. I would stress, do remember, this is CAA LA3 approved, so any pilots trying to shoot an ILS approach using their handheld transceivers, they need to come and see me, and we need to have a little conversation. But no, it's there. It's as for interest's sake, and I suppose if one was in a dire situation, it might be better than nothing. But again, it's not approved for ILS approaches or for primary navigation. But the FTA 550 has VOR, it has ILS, of course it transceives as well. It's still IPX5 rated, has a slightly larger battery. You can see it's physically, just show the two items, it's physically larger than the FTA 250. And for most people, that might just be all the radio that they need. Well, neither of them might be. There is the 750. It brings additional features over and above the FTA 550. So now the 750, which used to be their flagship, it has the additional features of GPS navigation and GPS waypoint logging, which is for some pilots very useful. The other nice thing is that I'll just turn it on. Because it has a GPS on board, it's now able to give you a GPS compass. So for those of us who do not have a directional indicator on our plane, that's the one that's gyro stabilized. If you try and fly an aeroplane on a compass, most of us know the things bounce around all over the place. It's nice to have this because it's a GPS compass, so of course it's not magnetically powered, so you do need to be able to receive a GPS signal, but it's very stable and very accurate when you're in reception of a GPS signal. So this one brings you GPS, and it still has the ILS, VOR, 5 watts transceive, still a double superhet, has a graphical user interface, and you've got your radio compass, and like I say, it does GPS logging as well. And now the current flagship is the FTA 850L, which I'm now going to pull out for us to have a look at. Sometimes there are different usage cases for both of these radios. So I'm just going to turn on the FTA 850. So first thing I want you to notice is that the 850 has a colour display. It's a TFT colour display. So it has all of the features of the FTA 750L, but also brings you a few other goodies as well. It brings you the colour screen. It also has an extra watt of transmit power, so it's a 6 watt transceiver, but it also has Bluetooth on board as well. And it has a more sophisticated GPS on it. So you can absolutely quite readily do GPS navigation with this one. I know a pilot who went through it with me and he said it's very good. The GPS implementation here is a little bit cruder. However, I wouldn't always say buying this is a no-brainer because in bright sunlight you might find the LCD screen is the appropriate choice for you. So of course, if you're flying in dawn, dusk, no problem with the TFT display. Having said that, if you are in direct bright sunlight, you will get better visibility with the LCD screen. It also uses less power, the LCD screen, because you do not need any backlight to be able to view the screen, whereas on the 850, of course, you will have a higher consumption because it also has Bluetooth, might have Bluetooth running as well. And with Bluetooth, that gives you additional usage cases and how you're going to interface with the radio. So I thought maybe we might like to see what you get in the box, because it might be quite important for a lot of pilots, because there is something in the box which I think will be massively useful if you do not want to use this as a walkie-talkie, but you want to use your, like I say, Peltor or David Clark or whatever you whatever headsets there are out there now. I think Bose as well, if you want to use your Aviation headsets and use these with the radio. So one item that I want you to see here is you get a belt clip. I hope you can see that. You don't have to fit that, but for some of you that might be rather useful, because you can maybe pin it to something on the side in your aircraft cockpit, so it can be there ready if you should so need it. So you get the radio, and I just wanted to also show you it does have a charging port if you don't want to use the cradle, which I'm about to show you. So of course you get your charger. So this charger is there we go, and that can plug straight in the radio, or it can plug into a charging cradle that I'm about to show you. Critically, for some of those of us who are not in the UK, it does also come with a an American plug and a European plug as well. So you can choose whether you want a UK plug or an American one or a European one. Or it can plug into a charging cradle, which is this little beastie. So there, the radio can plug, if you don't want to faff around, so you can plug it straight in to the charging cradle, even with the belt clip on. I didn't mention, of course, it comes with, they all come with an antenna. Of course they do. I should have mentioned it, but that's in the box as well. And for those of you that are interested, they're BNC connections. So they're not, you know, they're very quick to attach. Also, you get a car charger. So if you're not near mains and you want to charge up the radio from the car, well, whatever, I don't think planes have got cigarette lighter sockets. I don't think they do. I can't remember actually. But anyway, if you want to charge it in the car, you can do that, or if you've got one of those portable power packs, etc. So that comes in the box as well. I'll show you what this little item is for in a second. And this is, I think you'll start to recognise this. Those are your Aviation headsets adapters. So they plug into the side of the radio. It plugs into the side of the radio here, and you can then plug your aircraft headsets into these sockets. The thing that you can also do, if you should so wish, this socket here, this one, is for a press to talk switch, which we will fairly shortly be having in stock as well, if you want to be able to not use the press to talk button, which is on the side of the radios. But you have an option, and you can switch between the microphone that's inside the radio or the microphone on your headsets. But that's a very critical piece of equipment that's inside the box. Now this item here, this here is a ferrite. Now why is that included? Well, that clips over the adapter as so, and the reason why they include this is because this is an AM radio. I think most of us that have done our exams and can remember them critically, we will remember that AM is much worse for being picked up by wires and causing interference than FM is. So SSB and AM, because they both basically are amplitude modulated modes, they will induce currents into wires and cause interference. So this radio is perfectly fine being used as is, because it's all screened internally and it's just fine. When you start sticking in external wires to it, this now is right next to the antenna, and you may get some RF pickup and howling in the radio. So that's why they've included this ferrite. It's to stop or reduce the possibility of currents being induced into the wire and causing howling in the microphone when you're trying to transmit. Like I say, it's something you probably haven't experienced if you're using FM, on which most handhelds are, but it does become more challenging on AM. And again, just a little side note, the reason why aircraft use AM is because you do not get the capture effect, unlike FM. So if two pilots are keying down at the same time, the controller probably will be able to hear both, but maybe with a howling. That doesn't apply on FM. So it's a safety thing. That's why planes use AM. So we've concluded the features, etc. So just to recap, remember, these are secondary radios, not to be used as your primary means of communication. Having said that, they're fantastic and approved for secondary use. They are AM. The channel spacing is correct for the airband. The frequency coverage of these radios, which I didn't mention, they basically just cover airband. The ones with navigation on board also cover the ILS frequencies, of course, and the VOR frequencies, of course. So they have a slightly wider band coverage, but they are just for airband. These do not have a general coverage receiver in them. They do it exceptionally well, and they are all double superhet. And again, to the geeks of us out there, you probably are aware that the cheaper transceivers tend to use super regen, whatever, and they are nowhere near as selective or as sensitive as a double superhet. So I hope you had a little takeaway from the video. We have these radios in stock. We're based down in Staines. Please take a look at our website. We hope you'll find we've been very keen with our prices. Might be a pleasant surprise to a lot of pilots. If you want to come in to the shop and touchy-feely the radios, you're more than welcome, and it will be a pleasure to see you here. So with that, safe flying, and thank you very much for listening.